Scar, the infamous villain of The Lion King, is a character whose very name conjures images of betrayal, cunning, and tragedy. With his smooth voice, piercing green eyes, and signature scar, he stands as one of Disney's most iconic antagonists. Yet, amidst the grandeur of his villainy, one question remains strangely elusive. How did Scar get his scar? And could the story behind it be more than just a simple injury? Throughout Disney's history, various explanations have been offered, each adding a layer of complexity or confusion to Scar's origin. In some versions, the scar is a result of a physical altercation, a brutal reminder of his struggle for power. In others, it's depicted as a mere accident, a tragic mark from a childhood mishap that forever altered his destiny. However, none of these stories seem to capture the true essence of Scar's character or the impact that the scar has on his identity. But what if the truth is different from what we've been told? What if Scar's scar is not just a wound, but a symbol? One that marks a pivotal moment in his life when Taka, the young lion with aspirations of greatness, began his transformation into the cunning Scar we know today? This line of questioning opens the door to new theories, ones that delve into the psychological and symbolic weight of that infamous mark. Imagine the scar not as an accident or an act of violence, but as a deliberate choice, a mark of transformation that signifies Scar's rejection of his royal lineage and his decision to forge his own path. Such a perspective shifts our understanding of Scar from a mere villain to a complex character shaped by rejection, ambition, and a desire for recognition. As we embark on this exploration, we'll not only question the origins of Scar's scar, but also consider its symbolic meaning and its impact on his destiny. By the end, we may discover that Scar's scar is less about physical injury and more about the deep emotional and psychological scars that defined his journey. Join us as we unravel the true mystery behind Scar's scar, a story that may reveal more about the lion beneath the mark than we ever imagined. Scars tell stories, and in the world of storytelling, they often signify more than just physical wounds. They represent transformation, loss, and defining moments. Scar's scar is no exception. While most discussions focus on how he got it, few consider what it truly means. Could this mark be more than just an unfortunate injury? Could it be the moment Taka ceased to exist and Scar was born? In many mythologies and narratives, scars are symbolic of a personal metamorphosis. They mark the transition from innocence to experience, from weakness to resilience. Consider Darth Vader, whose transformation into a dark figure is visually reinforced by the scars and burns he sustains. Or Two-Face, whose physical disfigurement is a direct reflection of his fractured psyche. Scar follows this same pattern. His wound is not just an injury, but a manifestation of his inner turmoil. At one time, Taka was a prince, a second-born, but still a lion of royal blood. The world saw him as Mufasa's brother, a member of the royal family. But something changed. His scar became a marker of that shift, the moment he stopped being a prince and started being an outsider. What if the scar was the moment he truly understood that he would never be king? That realization alone would be powerful enough to change him forever. Even in The Lion King, Scar's defining trait isn't just his physical wound, it's his resentment. His bitterness toward Mufasa and later Simba stems from years of rejection, of feeling lesser than. His scar then could symbolize that rejection, serving as a daily reminder that he was cast aside. It's not just a wound, it's an identity, one that fuels his ambition and sense of entitlement. The way Scar carries himself also suggests that his scar isn't just something that happened to him, it's something he embraced. He wears it like a badge of defiance, leaning into his dark persona instead of fighting against it. This raises an intriguing question. What if the scar wasn't a curse, but a choice? This idea takes us to a new theory, one that challenges the traditional narratives and suggests that Scar's scar was not a mere accident, but a deliberate mark of transformation. And perhaps it was part of something much greater, a ritual, a test, a moment of initiation that forever separated him from the royal family. What if Scar's scar was not the result of an accident or a fight, but something far more deliberate? What if it was a mark of initiation, a ritual of power that reshaped his destiny? In many warrior cultures, Scars are not seen as weaknesses, but as proof of survival, strength, and transformation. From ancient tribal rites to modern-day initiations, deliberate markings on the body often symbolize a passage into a new identity. What if Taka, desperate to prove his worth, willingly underwent such a test, one that would forever set him apart from the royal family? Imagine this: a young Taka, growing tired of being overshadowed by Mufasa, seeks a way to stand out. He ventures beyond the Pride Lands, finding a group of rogue lions, outsiders who reject the traditional ways of ruling and believe that true power is earned, not inherited. These lions follow a brutal philosophy. Only those who have endured pain and emerged stronger are fit to lead. They offer Taka a chance to prove himself, but it comes at a cost. The test is not one of physical strength, but of endurance and willpower. To show his commitment to power over tradition, Taka allows himself to be marked, a deliberate wound that will serve as a lifelong reminder that he is no longer bound by the old ways of the Pride Lands. The pain is excruciating, but he does not flinch. He survives the ritual, and from that moment on, he is no longer Taka. He is Scar. This theory changes everything. Instead of a victim, Scar becomes someone who chose his path. He wasn't given his name out of pity or cruelty. He embraced it as a symbol of his break from Mufasa's legacy. His scar is not just a wound, it is a declaration, a rejection of the destiny that was never his to claim. This would also explain Scar's deep disdain for the circle of life. He does not believe in the idea that leadership is bestowed by birthright. Instead, he believes in power through struggle, in survival of the fittest. This mindset is exactly what we see in The Lion King. Scar doesn't just want to rule, he wants to undo the legacy of Mufasa and everything the Pride Lands stand for. If this theory holds, Scar's entire character is rewritten. He was never meant to be king in the traditional sense. He was meant to challenge what it meant to be a ruler. His scar was not a curse, it was his badge of honor. But if Scar shares this connection with outsiders, does that mean he is part of a larger pattern? Throughout Disney's history, villains have often been marked, physically or symbolically, by their struggles, their losses, or their rejections. These marks are more than just wounds. They represent deep personal transformations, moments that define their paths to villainy. If Scar's scar is not just a wound but a ritual of power, how does he fit into this larger pattern of Disney villains? One of the most striking comparisons is Captain Hook. Much like Scar, Hook carries a visible mark of his past, the loss of his hand, which symbolizes his obsessive grudge against Peter Pan. His hook is more than a tool, it's a constant reminder of his failure, fueling his relentless quest for revenge. If Scar's scar was given to him in a test of power, it serves a similar function. It isn't just a mark, but a symbol of defiance and a rejection of his past life. Then there's Jafar from Aladdin. While he lacks a physical scar, his entire aesthetic, his thin frame, angular face, and piercing eyes, serves as a visual representation of his hunger for control. Jafar, like Scar, believes that power should not be given, but taken. Both characters exist in the shadows of rulers they despise, using cunning and manipulation to claim what they believe is rightfully theirs. If Scar truly underwent a ritual of power, it makes sense that he, like Jafar, would reject the traditional ways of kingship and seek to rule through his own means. But perhaps the most fitting comparison is Judge Claude Frollo from The Hunchback of Notre Dame. While Frollo does not bear a physical wound, his entire character is defined by his inner scars, his inability to reconcile his beliefs with his desires, his sense of superiority, and his ultimate downfall due to his refusal to change. Scar, much like Frollo, is an outsider within his own world, someone who has been shaped by years of resentment and rejection. His scar could very well symbolize this isolation, proof that he has been permanently cast out of the Pride Lands traditional system. This theme of physical or symbolic scarring is a powerful tool in storytelling. It represents a moment of no return, the point at which a character's fate is sealed. For Scar, his scar is not just a mark of the past, it is his identity, the very thing that fuels his desire to reshape the world around him. If Captain Hook, Jafar, and Frollo's defining traits come from the moments they were broken, then Scar's scar is his version of that defining moment. By seeing Scar in this light, we gain a deeper understanding of not just his motivations, but his place in the larger narrative of Disney villains. He is not just a schemer. He is a character shaped by survival, by the need to prove his worth in a world that never saw him as a true ruler. But if Scar's scar is truly a mark of transformation, what does that say about his role as an exile? Was Scar destined to be an outsider, or was he shaped by those around him? Scar's story is one of power, rejection, and ultimately, exile. Whether we believe his scar was an accident, a wound inflicted by rage, or a ritual of power, one truth remains. Scar was always meant to be an outsider. His very existence challenges the traditional hierarchy of the Pride Lands, and his fate, falling from power just as quickly as he seized it, cements his status as a ruler who was never truly meant to reign. Throughout The Lion King, Scar positions himself as a self-made king, someone who believes that birthright alone is not enough to define a ruler. His ideology, if traced back to the theory of his scar being a mark of power rather than a wound, suggests that he saw himself as a better alternative to Mufasa. Not a king by tradition, but a king by merit, by survival. In his mind, his scar would serve as proof of his worthiness, a badge of resilience. But the world of the Lion King does not operate by Scar's rules. From the moment he takes the throne, Scar's downfall is inevitable. He may believe himself to be a ruler of strength and strategy, but his reign is built on fear, not respect. Unlike Mufasa, who leads with wisdom and balance, Scar governs through control, leading the Pride Lands into ruin. In a way, this reinforces the idea that his scar is not just a symbol of power, but a mark of exile. No matter how much Scar tries to prove his worth, he is never fully accepted by his pride, by the circle of life, or even by the land itself, which begins to wither under his rule. This theme of exile is what truly sets Scar apart from other Disney villains. While characters like Jafar and Captain Hook meet their downfall due to their own hubris, Scar's fate is particularly poetic. He is betrayed by his own followers, cast aside by the very ones he believed were loyal to him. His death, at the hands of the hyenas he once ruled over, symbolizes the ultimate rejection. Scar, the self-proclaimed king, was never truly one of them. He was never truly a ruler. He was, from the very beginning, an outsider. But does that mean Scar was destined to be a villain? Or was he simply shaped by the world around him? If his scar was indeed a mark of transformation, then perhaps Scar's greatest tragedy was not his ambition, but the fact that he was never given a chance to rule on his own terms. As we conclude, one question remains. Was Scar truly meant to be king, or was his exile inevitable? What do you think? Share your thoughts and theories in the comments, and let's keep the conversation about Scar's true legacy alive.